Okay, looking at our investigate, you should have already answered both of these expressions. You were evaluating those with your tables. So on the first one on the left, I have 7 times 8 plus 5. What do I do first in this expression, Vala? I do the 8 plus 5, which is 13. And then I have to multiply 7 times 13. Okay, what is that going to give me? Yeah. 91. Okay. Well, if I solve this one first, because it's multiply, I have to multiply before I can add. There's no parentheses, so now I just go straight in order, multiply, divide, then add, subtract. This is going to be 56, and then plus 5, which equals 61. Okay. So it says, write a real-life problem that can be represented by one of the expressions above. Switch papers with your partner. What expression represents your partner's real-life problem? Let's just do the one on the left as an example. So the problem on the left says that I'm adding 8 and 5, and then I'm going to multiply it by 7. Okay? I want you to think about if you were at a grocery store, okay, and they have all these sections. You're in the produce section, and they have all these little boxes because you can buy like bundles of apples and bundles of oranges, right? Anybody's family ever buy like a bag of apples and a bag of cuties or something? Okay, so y'all can picture that. Okay, imagine that we have a bag of cuties or a bag of oranges and there's 8 in there. And then I get a bag of apples and there's 5 apples there. Okay, well, you need to get 7 of each of those. So what this would mean is I would need to have 8, hold on. I would have 8. This is going to represent my oranges. And then I have 5. This is going to represent my apples. That's right. When I write, you write. This is our thought process. Okay, I've got a bag of oranges. Has 8 in there. A bag of apples has 5. If I want to buy 7 bags of each of those, that's going to tell me how many total pieces of fruit I will have, right? So 7 bags of oranges and 7 bags of apples. And then you could tell me a little bit further, 1 bag of apples has 5 apples, or just has 5. 1 bag of oranges has 8. How much fruit do I have in all? So if I solved that question, 7 bags of oranges and 7 bags of apples, 1 bag of apples has 5, 1 bag of oranges has 8. How much fruit do I have in all? Well, if I want 7 bags of each, then I could do 7 times 8, and then I could add that to 7 times 5. That's what we call distributive property, going back a couple lessons ago. Or I could just add the total number of apples and oranges that I would get in 1 bag and then times that by 7. Either way, you end up with 91 total pieces of fruit. Okay? So today what we're doing is we are taking expressions and we're going to write expressions to describe a word problem. So we're going to be given a lot of different word examples, and we're going to be writing expressions based on what that example says. So looking at page 78. It says add 54 and 97, then multiply by 2. What would that look like if I just wrote that in numeric form? Okay, we're speaking math language, so just numbers and symbols. Add 54 and 97. That looks like 54 plus 97. Does everybody agree? Yeah. And then multiply by 2, so times 2. Okay, well, the problem with that is if I just wrote 54, if I just wrote 54 plus 97 times 2, based on what we learned in our last lesson, order of operations, I'm not adding 54 plus 97 first, because why? What does this expression show me? What would I have to do if I left it like this? What would I have to do based on order of operations first? Multiply. Okay, but my words tell me add 54 and 97, then multiply by 2, which tells me the word then, that is a transition word. That means after I do one thing, then I do something else. So that means I need to put the parentheses around this first, then I can multiply by 2. Okay, the next one says 5 plus 7 times 25. It gives me the expression, and it wants me to write words to describe it. So I would describe it by saying 5, or add 5 and 7, then multiply by 25. So we're going to do a lot of practice with this so we can see kind of how this is going to work. So we're going to do all of the odds together, and I'm going to let you and your group try the evens. So looking at number 1, it says multiply 8 and 5, then divide by 4. So what would I do for 8 and 5? London?
8 multiplied by 5.
Yeah, so 8 times 5. Then divide by 4. Then what do I do?
Then you have to work it out.
Well, what do I have to write first?
Divide by which?
Divide by 4. Okay, do I need parentheses?
No.
Why do I not have to put parentheses this time? Jason?
Because you always do times before division.
Do I always do times before division?
No.
But what do I do when I have times and division? What'd you say?
Left to right.
Right, left to right. So it's already set up in the right order. If, however, I had like divide by 4 later on or something, and I wasn't multiplying these particular numbers and then dividing by 4, I would maybe have to group something. Is there anything wrong with putting parentheses here?
No.
Do I have to have them though?
No.
No. So if I put parentheses, I'm still doing 8 times 5 first. I don't have to have them because based on order of operations, I still do all multiplication and division, whatever comes first, left to right. So no matter what, I would be doing 8 times 5 first. So you can have parentheses or you can leave them off. Okay, number 3 says multiply 3 by the sum of 12 and 3. You guys have to know what the word sum means. What is a sum? Yep.
The answer to an addition problem.
The answer to an addition problem. Okay, so if I'm trying to figure out the sum of 12 and 3, what does that mean I'm doing to 12 and 3?
You're adding 3 to 12.
I'm doing 12 plus 3. And then I want to multiply by 3. So I'm doing 3 times that. But if I leave it like this, what would I do first? I would be doing 3 times 12 and then adding 3. So what do I need to do to make sure that I multiply 3 by the sum of 12 and 3? Yes.
Put parentheses around 12 and 3.
I got to put parentheses around 12 and 3. Now I am multiplying 3 by the sum of 12 and 3. Okay, the next one is going to be writing words as an expression and then interpreting the expression. So write the words as an expression. I want to take these words and write it as an expression. Remember, an expression is made up of numbers and symbols. So if I'm adding 15 and 10, then multiplying by 4, what might that look like? Add 15 and 10, then multiply by 4. Caden, what do you think? Well, I see add, I see multiply, and I see then.
Oh, so you're gonna add. You're gonna put a parentheses around 15 and 10, and then you're gonna add them together and multiply by 4.
Yeah, exactly. So I would do 15 plus 10 in parentheses. And then I'm going to add 4. But the next part says interpret the expression. So what does the word interpret mean? Anybody know? Yeah, what do you think interpret means, Caden?
Like find or translate.
Kind of translate? Yeah. Explain? Okay, what do you think?
Interpret means like someone that's in a story that's like narrating it.
Understanding something, right? Interpreting, like understanding it maybe in a different way, okay? So if I am going to do 15 plus 10 times 4, then I'm basically just rewriting this in a different way. I'm just saying I'm doing 4 times the sum of 15 and 10. This part's kind of silly. We know what we're doing, okay? So I just want to make sure you understand what the words are telling you to do. So it's just reinforcing that understanding, okay? The next part, number 7. Remember, we're doing the odds. You're going to do the evens in a minute with your table and check them. So number 7 says 26 minus 9 times 0. We want to write this in words. So what could I say? Yes.
9 times 0 is 0 minus 26, or 26 minus 0.
So I want to talk about 9 times 0, and then that taken away from 26. How can I maybe kind of shorten that up a little bit?
9 times 0 subtracted by 26.
Subtracted from 26. Okay. So 9 times 0 taken away from 26, or 9 times 0 subtracted from 26. Could I say it another way? I could say maybe 26 minus the product of 9 and 0. I could say, I don't know if I like the other way that I was thinking. Let's just say, let's go with what Jeb and London said. So we'll say multiply 9 and 0, then subtract from 26. We'll just leave it at that. Very clear, makes a lot of sense. The word then is in there, which means I have to do that multiplication first, then I go back and subtract. Okay, the next one says 13 plus 19 divided by 2. Oh, it isn't even, sorry. Do you want to do that one together and then just go back and do the others?
Yeah.
Okay, so 13 plus 19 and then divide by 2. Well, I kind of just said it. It's what I just said. So we could say the sum of 13 and 19, or we could say 13 plus 19, then divide by 2. Or add 13 and 19, then divide by 2. Any of those. We're going back like to a few years ago when you're like really focusing on those key words. Plus, sum, add, like all those things that we know we're adding. Or product, factors, multiply. That's all got to do with multiplication. Okay? All right, with your tables, go ahead and do 2, 4, and 6, and then we'll check them. Class, city, class? Okay, I know some of you got at least the first couple. So number 2, you should have had 2 plus 18, because you're talking about the sum of 2 and 18. And then you're going to divide that by 4. So it says you're dividing the sum of 2 and 18 by 4. So I've got to find the sum first, which means I've got to put that in parentheses. Because otherwise, if I didn't have parentheses, then I would have to be dividing first, and I don't want to do that. I want to divide the sum. So I have to know the sum of 2 and 18 first, then divide by 4. Number 4 says subtract 30 from 50. You're taking 30 away from 50. So that means 50 minus 30, then divide by 10. I've got to put the subtraction operation in parentheses so that I can do that first. Number 6 says subtract 12 from 37. So I'm doing 37 minus 12, then add 9. Could I have left the parentheses off?
No.
Yes, I could have. But why? Somebody over here said yes. Yeah, why? Because you're doing it left to right. Because your only operations are adding and subtracting. When you have only adding and subtracting left, you do all of that from left to right. It doesn't matter which one comes first. If that's all you have left, you go left to right. So technically, I don't have to have parentheses there. I just put them there just so it makes it easier on the eye. Okay, moving right along. On the next page, it says write the words as an expression, then evaluate it. So this time it wants me to write the expression, but it also wants me to solve it. So on number 9, it says multiply 5 by the difference of 25 and 20. What does difference mean? Nope. Is it add, subtract, multiply, or divide?
The answer from a subtraction problem.
Yes, it's the answer of a subtraction problem. So difference is a key word for subtraction. So I am going to find the difference of 25 and 20. So I know I'm doing 25 minus 20. But before that, it says multiply 5 by. So then I'm going to do 5 times 25 minus 20. Now, if I leave it like this, the problem that I have is I'm doing 5 times 25 first, right?
Yeah.
I want to multiply 5 by the difference of 25 and 20. So what do I need to do to fix this? Yep. Parentheses around the subtraction problem. Now I'm going to solve it. So what is the difference of 25 and 20? 5. And what is 5 times 5?
45.
Very good. Okay, number 10 says add the product of 4 and 2 to the product of 8 and 3. Add the product of 4 and 2. What does product mean?
Answer multiplication.
Yep, answer to a multiplication problem. So that means I have 4 times 2. And it tells me to add. I'm adding that to the product of 8 times 3. Okay, but my problem, do I have a problem?
No.
Technically, no. Because why?
You don't need to wrap this.
Because I don't have to have the parentheses, because I have to do multiplication first before I add. But does it look a little easier on the eye if I put parentheses here? Yeah, it kind of just automatically groups it for me so I can see, okay, 4 times 2, 8, plus 8 times 3, 24. What is 8 plus 24?
32.
32. All right, the next part says write the words as an expression, then use a property of addition to write an equivalent expression. Okay, so a numerical expression. I've already got it in words. Add 9 to the sum of 21 and 6. Numerically, what might that look like? I'm going to add 9 to the sum of 21 and 6. So what would I maybe do first? Yes.
21 plus 6 plus 9.
Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and group this just so that I'm representing add 9, which is over here. I'm adding 9 to the sum of 21 and 6. So these are what's grouped together. Now, could I do an equivalent expression? Could I move those parentheses somewhere else?
Yeah.
And okay, where can I put the parentheses?
Around the 6 and 9.
Around the 6 and 9. Does anybody remember what this property is called?
Associative
Yes.
property of addition.
Associative property of addition. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're so smart. Great job. Okay. Match the expression with its value. With your tables, I want you to read those expressions and draw a line to the hand that is showing the correct value of that expression.
Yes.
Okay. Do we at least have maybe 2 to 3 figured out? Okay. So looking at this, it says subtract 11 from. I'm taking 11 away from something. The product of 3 and 4. Product is answer of a multiplication problem. So I know I'm going to do 3 times 4, which is 12. Take 11 away from that. What's that leave me? 1. So that should go right here. Okay, add 2 to the quotient. Oh, what is quotient?
The answer to division.
Okay, good. Of 24 and 12. So 24 divided by 12 is 2. If I add 2 to that, what's my answer?
4.
Good. Subtract the quotient of 21 and 3, which is what?
7.
From 9. 2. And then subtract the quotient of 9 and 3, which is 3, from 6, which is
3.
Oh, sorry, I missed the thumb. So this one is actually showing 3, and this one's showing 2.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, next, we're going to skip this section. And we're going to go on to the very last part. Okay, number 17 says, you and your friend bowl 3 frames. Anybody ever been bowling?
Yeah.
Okay, so when it says frames, it means like you get 2 bowls, right? You get 2 turns every time, except for maybe sometimes the last one. All right, so you and your friend bowl 3 frames. You're listening. Evaluate the expressions to find your score and your friend's score at the end of the 3rd frame. Okay, so we know that this equals a spare. A strike is an X, okay? So it's showing us how they're getting their totals. So what it's showing is, in parentheses, this is my first frame. I got 10 plus 10. I don't know. And then we have 10 plus 8 plus 1. And then plus 8 plus 1. I don't understand bowling. I don't understand how this is relating to bowling. It's fine because I know math and I can solve math problems. So I don't know how it relates to bowling, and that's okay. We're just going to solve the math problems because they're giving us the math problem to represent the bowling. Okay, so here we go. For me, you. We're looking at the you part, okay, right here. So you are going to do 10 plus 10, which is 20. Then 10 plus 8 plus 1, which is 19. Then 8 plus 1, which is 9. And then I just add all that together, and so my score is going to be 48. Very good. Okay, and then my friend got 10 plus 8 plus 1, which is 19, plus 9, plus 9. 37. 37. So you won. Very good. All right, we're going to stop there so that you have time to start your practice.